So what happens if crypto goes on a super cycle and Cardano finally gets the attention it deserves? We have an ADA ETF approval, quantitative easing kicks in, and let's say Bitcoin goes to $250,000. This combination could push ADA to $13. Here's why. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to CLOCKWISE Crypto. Hope you guys are moving forward in everything that you do. Yes, I said it. $12.86, aka $13 ADA could be in play. Let's dive in and let me explain how. So taking a look at the macro picture, guys, that's what we want to look at. The macro picture, we can see here first, the Fed could inject liquidity if the bond yields surge. And what that really means is, the summary here is, if bond yields surge, the Fed may inject liquidity via quantitative easing, prompting banks to rebalance portfolios by buying bonds, reducing volatility, and encouraging broader risk taking through the portfolio rebalancing effect. Meaning, there's going to have to be an alternative. There's going to have to be another way to not ride the wave of that massive volatility, because that would bring loss, especially when you look at the bond yield. So taking a look also at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin breaking out to 250K. You see our TA, right? And you see we had a clear breakout. And what it's looking like here is, if we go to the weekly time frame, we can kind of get a better picture. We've never been at these price points before. So this is foreign territory, which is why I stay away from giving time frames, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You could have a pullback. You could just have a pullback, which is basic market structure, right? You can have a pullback after a high is made, higher low, and continue upwards that way. Or you could just go berserk and go straight up and have a pullback whenever, right? There's really no time to tell that. But that, combined with a quantitative easing in the traditional markets, right, is another confirmation as to how that could happen. Now, one other thing to look at: regulators greenlighting a Cardano ETF. We can see that Cardano and Grayscale, right? Grayscale already has their application in. Grayscale Cardano Trust was filed on February 10th. We covered that earlier this year. The SEC acknowledged the filing on February 24th, triggering a 240-day review period, right? Setting a new decision date for July 13th. The final deadline for the SEC to rule on the application is now October 22nd. This delay has led to Cardano's price dipping by 4% at the time of this article, but the price has dropped even further since then, but now it's rebounding. As you know, everything is exploding right now across the crypto markets. So with that being said, even these events on its own is going to be huge for Cardano. That alone is going to be huge. And really what they're saying is it's going to be a recipe for a major supply and demand squeeze on ADA. That is what's going to push that price up. So we took a look here historically at Cardano dominance through the markets, right? We go to ADA, go to market cap dominance, and we look all the way back to inception, right? The end of 2017 in November, peaked up to about almost 5%, so about 4.8%. And then the next bull run as well in 21 peaked up about the same, 4.5%, right? So historically, we see about a 4.2 market dominance during bull market peaks. So imagine a scenario where it climbs a bit higher to 4.5. That may not sound like much, but when it comes to the total crypto market cap booming, that difference makes a massive amount of gains potential, because you have Bitcoin at 250K, total market cap could easily be around 7 trillion. With ADA at 4.5 dominance, that gives a price target of 12.86 ADA, $12.86 per ADA, just off of that alone. And that's just off of just going straight bull run. That's not including the ETF, right? And that's not including anything else. If you just go off of historically what we've seen, and we can circle these so you guys can know. It's there. Anyone can take a look at this. You can circle it right here. Even though these are rectangles, give me a break. But you can put a box around it here, put a box around it here. Market dominance. All right. So, and look at where we're at. We're at the floor already. We're at the floor again. And this, just picture this as well. These market dominances that we're seeing historically are without the ETFs. This is all retail pushes. Let me just preface that. This is all retail pushes when it comes to looking at historical market dominance. We've never had a scenario where it was a positive open environment for crypto. This is the first time ever. So I think even anticipating market dominance to go to where it previously was, when you have institutional ETFs behind it as well, kind of paints a different picture, right? I think we could go further than what we've seen before because you have let's say there's probably about a 90% chance it gets approved in October, right? Could be sooner, but it could get approved in October 22nd. With that institutional money coming in, then retail follows on top of that, which, you know, retail's typically late to the party, right? Most people are not like us in crypto. Just being frank. Retail's going to come in late at a, you know, with the hopium, with the FOMO, you know, going to come in late. I think 4.5 is even conservative given all the conditions that we're looking at and the potential and the bullish momentum that we're seeing here. So I think that a lot of the price predictions that we're seeing with Cardano, with HBAR, with all these other altcoins, I think they're conservative because we're dealing with institutional flowing in as well. It's not just retail like these prior two. These prior two right here in end of 2017 and 2018, and then also here in the Q3 of 2021, these are retail only. Very, very little institution. And if there was institution in there, it's very like they're not public with it because it wasn't beneficial. If anything, you go public about you being in crypto, you're putting a target on your back, right? So this is without institutions. And so we see this. So we have Grayscale ETF. Right now they're offering Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? That ETF, the amount of money that's going to flow, and this is just Grayscale alone, right? And I just want everyone to remember that this is Grayscale alone. This isn't even including all the other ETFs that are going to follow. So I think this matters the most because this isn't really all about just these wild price predictions. ETF brings in traditional capital. Bitcoin leads a macro-driven bull run. Cardano keeps pace with just a modest increase in market share. That scenario alone will get you to that $12 Cardano. That will get you to 10, I would say 10 to 13, right? That's how you get there. And it's not far-fetched. It's not you know, something to think that you just gotta, it's a perfect storm like other altcoins. There has to be like a perfect storm to happen. No, this is very, very conservative when it comes to looking at where Cardano is at, what it has done historically to potentially see what it can do in the future. Currently at 88 cents, guys. Currently sitting at 88 cents with a ton of room to grow, right? You had all of 2024 to accumulate, right? And where else can you go and double your money and not even be in the peak of the bull run yet? If you had accumulated all of 2024, 35 cents average price point, say about 35 cents, average price point, 35 cents the entire year. All right. So that's, I would say the entire end of the second half of the year, 35 cents, where pretty much everyone's saying Cardano is dead. That's kind of, that should be, like I told you guys before, that may be an indicator to accumulate, right? Can you imagine just accumulating? All you do is accumulate top 20 projects when they say they're dead, right? Spread that out and accumulate top 50, top 20 projects when they say they're dead. I can only imagine the ROI on an investor that solely does that based off a project that's trending to be dead, right? You might have some losses, I'm sure, some that really are dead, but really the ones that have fallen off a cliff, are usually the ones that aren't being considered dead. Usually it's the ones that are being talked about and have the hype, and then they fall off. But Cardano, very, very strong momentum right now, pushing up towards $1. And I think that there is a ton of optimism, and I do think that that $12 price point, $10 to $13 price point, isn't as far-fetched as you'd like to think. And honestly, that's what's the most exciting thing about seeing ADA and tracking ADA in comparison to everything else, because when you look at ADA and you see the very little things that need to go right for that to happen in comparison to other altcoins that need a ton of things to go right for it to reach what people may see as a ridiculous number, it shows the risk reward for Cardano really outweighs anything else that I'm seeing on the market right now, and it's very exciting to see. So let me know what your price point is for Cardano. We believe $10 to $13 is in play, and like we said before, very little needs to happen for that to happen. Hope you guys got some value out of this video. Keep moving forward in everything that you do. We'll see you soon.